Hello, Mrs. Leahy here. I'm one of the algebra teachers, and I'm going to start out with your first lesson video over operations with integers. As we begin, we're just going to remind ourselves a little bit about the operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. The words when we are talking about addition, we would see most of the time the sum of. Subtraction, we would see the difference of. Multiplication, we see the product of. And division, we see the quotient of. And the algebra behind these words, we would see a plus b. Subtraction would be a minus b. Multiplication, we would see two things, but the more common that you're going to see in algebra is going to be this one. And the reason behind that would be because we don't want that multiplication that looks like the x to be confused with the variable x. And then lastly, for division, we'll see three types here. Okay. All right, so taking a look at example 1. So here we're going to look at this bar graph, and this is talking about an art festival attendance. So the first part of this question is, what is the total attendance for the art festival? You want to find the total attendance for the 3 days, because total, we're talking about 3 days. So from there, in this case, the phrase total attendance, taking the word attendance into consideration, indicates that you need to find the sum of the daily attendances. So now we're going to line up the numbers by their place values, and then we're going to add. So we have 2,570 plus 3,145 plus 3,876. So from here, we're going to end up getting 9,591. So our total attendance is 9,591 people. So we always want to identify what we're talking about. So by me writing people, then I know that you know what you're referring to. What is the increase in attendance from day 1 to day 2? So now you want to find out how many more people attended. So think about when it's increase, how many more people attended on day 2 rather than on day 1. So in this case, the phrase how many more, we're going to be looking at finding the difference. There we go. So then from here, we're going to take the 3,145 from day 2 and subtract 7,570. So by doing this, we're going to end up with 575. So the increase in attendance from day 1 to day 2 is 575 people. All right, so that takes care of example 1 with our bar graph. So for example 2, we're going to take a look at a school lunch that contains 12 chicken nuggets. So each kid would get the 12 chicken nuggets, and there are 95 students that buy lunch. So what is the total number of chicken nuggets that are served? So you want to find the total number of chicken nuggets in 95 groups of 12 chicken nuggets. So the phrase 95 groups of 12 indicates that you need to find the product. So to do this, I'm going to take my 12 times 95, and I'm going to work this out. So 2 times 5 is 10, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, 9 times 2 is 18, so we still have that 1 that we're carrying over. 9 times 1 is 9, plus another 1. Whoops. So then we're going to end up with 1,140 chicken nuggets. So just a little study tip with these, especially when you're working with multiple choice questions. Or if you want to just make sure your answer is a little reasonable, it's kind of crazy that we're talking about chicken nuggets and it's over 1,000 of them. So what you want to think about to make sure that you did your multiplication right is has to do with estimation. So 12 times 100 is something that we can quickly do in our head. We know that 95 is pretty close to 100. So this is going to end up giving me 1,200. So we know that 1,200 is approximately 1,140. So this means that our answer is reasonable. So just remember, this might kind of help out with some multiple choice. Not necessarily for our quizzes because you're not timed, but when it comes to tests and things like that, just, always making sure that your answer makes sense. All right, so then for example 3, you're going to make 24 equal payments for a go-kart. You pay a total of $840 and you want to find out how much each payment is. So you want to find the number of groups of 24 that are in 840. So think about when you want to find how much 24 is in 840, that indicates that you need to find the quotient of 840 and 24. So we're going to use long division to find the quotient, and we are going to work with, we start out, we know 24 doesn't go into 8, so we need to look at 84. So 24 goes into 84 3 times. 24 times 3 is 72. Once we subtract this, we get 12. Carry down our 0. 24 goes into 125 times. So that's great. We end up with a remainder of 0. And so the quotient of 840 and 24 is 35. So each payment, it's always good to describe what our answer is talking about, is $35. Okay, so one little just reminder here, and this might help you with your little assignment on Canvas, is that we're looking at the numerator is called the dividend. The denominator is the divisor. And then this equals our, I should have a little more room here, sorry, our quotient. This also could be written in the form of quotient times divisor equals dividend. Okay, so it's good to know what numbers go where, and especially when we're using a lot of this algebra vocabulary, that you know what we're talking about. All right, so then last here we have our real life application problem. We're talking about a 301 foot high swing at an amusement park, and it can take 64 people on each ride. A total of 8,983 people rode the swing today. All the rides are full except for the last ride. So we want to find, there's two parts, how many rides are given and how many people are on specifically that last ride. So one thing here, there's a lot of numbers. A 301 foot high swing. This actually doesn't matter. It's just another value that's kind of there to throw us off. So we want to continue on that we know we're talking about looking at totals. So we know we have 64 people on each ride. So this is a number that we're definitely going to need, and that the total number of people is at 8,983. So we're looking at the number of groups of 64 in 8,983. So remember, when we are looking at number of groups in something, that means we're referring to division. So we're going to need to find the quotient of 8,983 and 64. So I'm going to write this out. So we know 64 doesn't go into 8, so we're going to jump over to 89. 64 goes into 89 one time. Once we subtract that, we get 25. We have to bring down our 8. 64 goes into 258 4 times, and it comes out to 256. So we subtract and get 2. Bring down our 3. Does 64 go into 23? No, so we have to include that 0. So don't ever stop right here. You always have to write in the 0 in the ones place of the quotient. So right up here at the top. This is a very important thing. Don't stop here, always include your 0. Okay, now it's good. This is our remainder. We know that we're supposed to have a remainder because if you recall, it says that all the rides are full except for the last ride. So this 23 is talking about the leftover people. So what we know is that this quotient came out to 140 with a remainder of 23. So we put 23 as our in our numerator and 64 in the denominator. So what this really means is that there were 140 groups of 64 with 23 remaining. So in total, we're talking about rides. So the number of rides were 141 total rides. However, the last ride had 23 people. All right, so there you go. This video is just a little bit longer than normal just because I kind of wanted to introduce myself a little bit at the beginning, and then I just want to remind you that you have your little 5-question quiz under operations for module 1, and you get 2 attempts on that. So make sure that you're using your time wisely, you're working through that by yourself. Always make sure you have paper and pencil handy so that you're not wasting time, scrambling, or you're making sure to show your work and everything from there. So good luck, and if you have any questions, reach out to your teachers on Canvas. Thanks.